What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kneaux pregame show. We're going to call it a Saints pregame show because we're going to focus mostly on the Saints, but at the end we'll get into a little bit of around the league stuff. Today we have head honcho Ethan with us and Marcelo. Probably won't all, or definitely won't always be the same people every week, but you'll see some faces, and you'll get to meet a couple of new people. So, how y'all doing?
Can't complain, man. Ready for some football. It feels like it's shocking that we're already at week 3, but
No.
I'll deal with it because we got another 14 games to go. So excited.
All right. Hey, it's time to wake up, boys. It's game day. Let's go. Come on, we're about an hour and a half
Love
away.
It, man.
I need some energy from you guys. I'm
Listen,
sitting here like, well, let's pick this up. Let's go. Hey,
we had a long night at Yelman, man. I'm still recovering. You know what I mean?
That sounds like a you problem. But hey, I'm excited. Great game to go to.
It 100% is. Let me tell you, before we get rolling into this, I got a whole new respect for these media people. Maddie was over there running up and down the sideline like crazy. Listen, we just stood there and I'm exhausted.
Right.
So, all right, yeah, let's get into it. So today we got Saints and Packers. Saints are in Lambeau. We got 2-0 Saints, 1-1 Packers. Saints coming off a big, a win where they struck first 2 wins, right? They kind of struggled through, but
yeah.
The win's a win. Packers coming off a loss to the Falcons. Injuries for the day we got for the Saints, Jamal Williams and Adebo are out, and we'll get into how that affects us. Foster Moreau seems like he's probably not going to play, and then Kendre is making his debut, which I think is big. And for the Packers, we just got a big update that almost their entire team is out. We got Bakhtiari's out, Aaron Jones is out, and Christian Watson, and Jair, right, is also out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, also out.
Wow, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, so all of them are out today. The only other one I saw that was questionable was Lucas Van Ness, so we'll see if he plays. I'm assuming he is since they didn't say he was out. Let's get into keys of the game. Marcelo, what you got for me? Give me some of your keys of the game for the Saints.
I would say my primary key for this game is we got to be able to run the ball effectively. Now, I'm not saying that Kendre Miller needs to go out and run for 100 yards. I think that if collectively between Miller, Jones, and Hill, they run for 100 to 150 yards, I think that's a very good balance. The past 2 weeks, we haven't seen a very good offensive line. Now, they've progressed from week 1 to week 2. In this game, I want to see the offensive line bite a motherfucker's face off. Like, I'm tired of being like them just getting bullied at the line of scrimmage. I want them to go and push these motherfuckers around. Now, with that being said, I do think Tony Jones deserves to be the start for this game. And I do think that they've seen that Taysom Hill has been an asset in the running game. And I think that with a sprinkle in with Kendre Miller will be helpful and useful. I don't expect Miller to take over this backfield. So I would be hesitant to even start him in fantasy this week, but I think he can contribute in the short passing game. And hopefully he can hold up. That would be my biggest concern with Miller, is that his injury history. He got banged up in training camp. He missed time. He played a couple games in the preseason, or say a couple plays in the preseason, and then he got hurt when the season started. So it's like, okay, how much can you really contribute? That's why I lean more on Jones and Hill in the running game.
Yep. Ethan, before you go, you find it weird or interesting, I don't know what the best word is, that they didn't go out and sign another running back? Me and Patty were talking about this last night, that, considering that Kendre is coming off an injury, you would think that, I know it worked out okay having just Taysom and Tony Jones at the end of the game last week, right? But it feels odd to me that you wouldn't go sign somebody else just in case. You know what I mean? Because if Kendre gets hurt again, or even if Tony Jones gets hurt, and you're only down to 2 again, that feels rough. Because then you're only 1 away from having 1 guy. So I just wonder, do y'all think it's a little odd also that they didn't just go get a body, or you just kind of roll with it? Because last week they went into the game with an open roster spot.
I do. I think they should have called
I
Leonard
agree as
Fournette
well.
and brought him in. Now I get he's probably waiting for the right position, but I think Leonard Fournette coming to on the Saints team to be a power back. Listen, the Jamal Williams injury, it's a hamstring. This thing's not going to go away in 4 weeks. These things linger on. Sometimes it can be 6-8 weeks. I understand that Kamara's coming back, so they probably want to see what Miller can do, which I understand you use the draft pick to get him. And then if you bring in somebody else, you're limiting their usage and also with, taking away from Taysom Hill and Tony Jones. So I get that, but I think that it's important to have these running backs, especially with just like they got to be able to hold up.
Yeah. Ethan, give me your thoughts on that and give me your keys of the game.
Yeah, I think as far as running back goes, like it has to make sense, right? And I don't doubt that. I mean, we went out and paid Carl Granderson a lot of money in just a random week. I don't think it was lack of trying on the front office for sure. I'm sure they made phone calls and it just didn't make sense. Maybe Fournette, he knew that he wants to play. And when they called him, they said, we need you for 3 weeks. And he said, no, thank you. Or unlike some of the most recent Saints players going to play for division rivals, maybe he didn't want to pay. I think they made a phone call. I don't know if it was Fournette, obviously, but I think they made a phone call. I think it just likely didn't work out, and they were comfortable with what they had and Hill and Tony Jones Jr. and Miller coming back. But Miller is actually my number one key to the game this week. I put Miller time needs to live up to the hype. I think a lot of times, or a lot of people, not just Tulane fans, saw Tajay and right there and wanted him. And he's been healthy. He's been effective. So Miller needs to live up to the hype. He got praise throughout the draft. He got praise throughout training camp. Just needs to live up to the hype. I think it's going to be fun, though, as far as running backs go, because I think we might see kind of a toned down version of what we can expect from our actual 1-2 punch in the running backs, because Miller's a little more of Kamara and Tony Jones Jr. is a little more of Williams. Obviously not to those guys' talent right now, but it's a 1-2 punch like we're going to have whenever we get healthy. My number 2 is better timing on offense. It's a lot of times, the receivers going further, Carr's throwing shorter, Carr's throwing back shoulder, the receivers going corner. It's just not quite there on offense, and it needs to happen this game because the Packers are a young team and they have a lot of injuries, so they're going to come out with some intensity. And if we let them get going and we don't score fast, I think it's going to be another tight game, which we definitely don't want, especially in Lambeau. And then defensive masterclass yet again on our shorthanded Packers. I mean, no Aaron Jones. You got a young, inexperienced quarterback back there. You have an offensive line that doesn't have their starting left tackle and left guard. We just have to yet again, allow 1-0 touchdowns, and that's it. So, but that's my 3 keys to the game there.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page as far as the running game goes. It hasn't gotten going yet. Whether that's who you have back there or who you've had back there getting touches, that's the issue. Like Marcelo said, the offensive line, I think they've been better in the run game than the passing game. I mean, not really any think about it. They absolutely have been better in the run game.
Yeah,
but is that because they're better as a run blocking lot, or they're just so bad at pass blocking so far? right.
Yeah.
But Green Bay has the 3rd worst rush defense in the league. So if it were going to get going today should be the day, right? So
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think Kendra needs to. He's like Marcelo said, I don't think he's going to get the bulk today. Now, I'm always the fan of riding the hot hand. So if he comes in and rips off a couple big things, like just ride it, right? I mean, I understand snap counts when you're coming off an injury and everything, but it's the same thing we talk about with Taysom. When he gets hot, why do they stop giving him the ball? Ride, especially a young guy like Kendrick, give him the touches, let him roll, My other keys would be the defense has been awesome at getting pressure on the quarterback and getting to the quarterback. Jordan Love hasn't had an interception yet this year. So find a way to get some pressure on him. Jordan Love's been pretty decent so far. Find a way to get some pressure on him, force him to get a turnover. And then from there, we talked about offensive line. You got to protect Derek Carr. I mean, that's been the biggest issue thus far this year is protecting Derek Carr. he hasn't had time, and then when he does have time, I don't know. It's almost like he's seeing ghosts because he's got to make smarter decisions, right? He's got 2 interceptions, and they're both bad interceptions, especially the one last week. That was
Right.
terrible, throwing in the triple coverage like that. So he's got to make smarter decisions. They've got to protect him better, and like I said, just get the run game going. And I think that should the Packers are favored in this game, and it's very confusing to me. Like I don't think the Packers are a better team than the Saints. So it feels like we can win this easily if we just do those things. From there, let's talk about some spotlight players, some players that you think
Hey, Dave,
may have.
can I say a couple
Yeah, go
more of
ahead.
those keys that I'm looking at?
Yeah, go ahead.
Kind of picking back on as far as like the protection on Carr. I want to see some improvement on the third down efficiency and also in the red zone too. And I think because a lot of times we'll see false starts or holding plays that set us back, and then or we give up a sack and then we aren't able to stay on the field. I think that's another problem that's stalling the offense and getting down the field. And then also when we're in the red zone, is actually getting into the end zone. So, and instead of settling for field goals, I think if we can go, if we can improve, maybe going like 7 and 11 on third down, that's going to be huge and able to put up points. That's why we haven't been able to score more than 20 points yet. And I think that's important for this game. The Saints have to score more than, I said 21 points this morning. And another thing, kind of piggyback on our defense is, and putting the pressure on Jordan Love to keep up, because if there's no Aaron Jones, so it's AJ Dillon. He couldn't find a hole if he's kneeling down in front of it. He just runs into his lineman and he can't break one out. So they're going to stop the run and they got to put pressure on Jordan Love. Now with a Debo out, that opens up the slot. That might let Jaden Reed, but he's a rookie. Maybe he may make some mistakes, but also they have the home field advantage. I'll give it to him. But also, like Love is also, this is like what, Love's third or fourth start. Yeah. So he's kind of getting in the settle of things. He hasn't seen the type of defense yet that we can. And if you watch that Falcons game last week with the Packers, in the fourth quarter, he kind of shut down. He lined up under the guard at one point under a 4th and 1. He did a false start. Like
he looked like he spent a night on Bourbon Street. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, he was seeing good. And then if that happens, where if we're playing tight coverage like our corners can do, and there's nobody open, and he's got to try to force a play, or he holds on the ball longer than he wants to, that's going to open up allowing the defense to eat. Breezy has been awesome in the interior defensive lineman, and I think that's going to be a major factor, stopping the run and converting third down on offense. Those are my, and then like I said earlier, the offensive line, just protecting the quarterback and running the football.
Yeah. So, and you kind of actually transitioned pretty well into what I'll just start with my spotlight players. I'm just talking like players that need to step up or players you want to see something from, right? For me, my number one thing is cornerback too. Today with Adebo out, whether I know Nick Underhill said yesterday that Isaac Yadam, I don't even know how to say his last name, never even heard of this guy, that he's probably going to start. So whether it's either him or Alante, right? It's going to be one of those two. But whoever it is going to have to step up in a big way. And like we talked about, they don't have Christian Watson, so they don't have any proven veterans. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle Marshawn, because when we get into these games where somebody doesn't have a real number one, like does he follow Dobbs or does he stick to a side? You know what I mean? I don't know how they're going to approach it with him today. We'll see. But whoever's cornerback too has to step up. We can't. I think a lot of the Packers, we saw the connection with Dobbs and Love, at least in the preseason and early on, that they have a connection on those big plays, so we can't allow those to happen. Whoever's over there with him, or even if it's Marshawn, you can't allow that to happen. So cornerback 2 for me is my number 1. We already talked about Kendre. I'm hoping he can provide some kind of spark to the running game. Just, we've seen him kind of – it's been an ugly running game. It's been effective at times, but it hasn't looked easy. But I think he's got the talent to be like Ethan said, like great value Kamara today, right? Go out there, be versatile, add something different to the running game. And then my last one is Shaheed. He's been really good the first 2 weeks of the year. I want to see them get him more involved. Like I don't want that one big shot play to him at the end, right? Like he's so dangerous with the ball in his hands. We saw week 1 that they were doing the motion out the back, or even last week they run that motion with him. He runs in the backfield and then little jets out back to the sideline. Get creative with him. Get him the ball behind the line. Let him use his punt return skills to find a hole and make a play. Like I think he's more than just a big play, a deep threat and a trick play guy. Like he's a receiver. He's a legit receiver in the league. Get him the ball and let him make some plays. Ethan, give me yours.
Yeah, no, I resonate the receiving group in general, because I know it hasn't been on them for some of the stuff, because they have 0 drop passes, which feels insane. Like to have 0 is insane. But the other big thing about them is I want to see something from the tight ends. I know it's not like a certain spotlight, but it feels like Juwan Johnson has kind of went quiet, which doesn't feel good for a quarterback who's under pressure a lot, because I think that's your safety valve, right? And Juwan is a great one. Like he was a great safety valve for both Dalton and Winston last year. And he's just there. But I think a lot of it feels like maybe they're just not looking short. Like we're feeling like, even though we're ahead in a lot of these games, that we need these big chunk plays. Like Dave said, put something with like a tight end screen, do something in the backfield, get creative. You don't have to run your tight end to the first down marker and just sit down every single play, like that. You don't have to do that, especially considering the athleticism that we have at tight end. I mean, Juwan's crazy athletic. I think he could be a wide receiver 2 or 3 on 17 of the 32 teams right now. Jimmy Graham, I think in preseason, despite maybe not playing, steel against steel, showed that he can still be a big body in the end zone. And then just in general, just the tight end is like a spotlight for me this week. Like it needs to really just shine. And then my other ones is Breesy. I know Marcelo briefly touched on him, but I think it was you, Dave, last week that tweeted out. I don't know if I hadn't seen it before or what, but Gerber baby.
Somebody that's not. I didn't come up with that. I don't know who did. It might have been Nick, but somebody tweeted it out, and I love it. And so I'm running with it every time.
That's perfect. Yeah, but I mean, he's so dominant.
I've been on record saying that Breesy looks like Dave, or Dave looks like Breesy when Dave had shaved his head.
Yeah, I could see it.
I'm like, wait a minute, that's Dave. Right. Obviously, he's way bigger, but it's just so fun. Like, it's just short black hair.
Right.
Before you go, Marcelo, you talked about Juwan. I'm surprised he hasn't been more involved.
Yeah,
I thought, because he was being hyped up like he had that nice last season. He's being hyped up as the guy that was going to take, and it's still early, right? Still finding, but we've seen Derek Carr thrive with like Darren Waller,
right?
And Juwan is not Darren Waller, but he's an athletic tight end, similar to that, right? Similar kind of player, and I'm just shocked it hasn't happened yet.
I don't think
even in the preseason, I thought they had some kind of connection. I don't know. I'm just kind of surprised that hasn't taken off yet. Marcel, what do you think about that? And then give me your players.
So I was going to say that I was high on Juwan as well. I was very excited to have him paired up with Derek Carr, and especially with the first 2 weeks of Kamara being out, I was also thinking that he would be the safety blanket for Carr. But I'm telling Saints fans, don't worry, because the safety blanket has been Michael Thomas. Thomas has been cooking in that role. You saw him pepper him in the Panthers game. He's getting the short yardage targets, and he's eating that up. That's who Carr's looking at right now. And I think when Kamara comes back, then we're going to kind of see him get involved that way. Now, what I think that with Juwan in the red zone, I think today will be maybe something, because from the past few games, it seems like they didn't want to try to risk it. I think because they already threw interceptions, and they were like, hey, let's just sit on this one. Let's just pound it and get into the end zone, and then just kind of play on the defense. So I wouldn't be surprised with no Jar Alexander. You kind of have, if you have Graham, Juwan, and an extra lineman with Michael Thomas on the outside, like one of those three are scoring probably. But that would be my takeaway on that. But my player of the game is Derek Carr. We need you to step up. Derek Carr, right here. We need you in this game. We need for 24 points to win this game. The defense can hold Jordan Love and the Packers to 17. Score 20 or more points, and we win this game. I'm counting on you. Please. When you can do this.
Sounds like somebody placed a bet.
Just quick following up on that. Michael Thomas is back.
Michael Thomas.
Not even just on the field. He's back off the field. Like he is being Michael Thomas. Yeah, all the way through. I need that first Michael Thomas touchdown. That first Michael Thomas touchdown is going to hit like crack. Listen. Well, I mean, unless y'all got anything else on the game, we can kind of get into predictions and then get into around the league. I'll give my score prediction because Marcelo pretty much just said it for me. I'm going 23-17 Saints.
I love it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to give the Saints a little more credit. I do think that this is the game that Derek Carr puts up 2 touchdowns and we can get another touchdown and some, 2 more somewhere, whether it be the running game, Taysom Hill or whatever. But I like a 28-17 game where we still give up a touchdown or 2 to Jordan Love because he's creative. But I still think the Saints. I think this is the game that we see some touchdowns out of them.
I will. I'm going to be hesitant just because it's we haven't seen it yet, and we're on the road. I do think they can win the game, but I'm going to say 21-20 Saints.
Yeah, that seems fair. All right, let's get into a little bit around the league stuff. I don't want to go into every game; that would be some overkill. So give me each of y'all's favorite game of the day, or just maybe something. It doesn't even have to be your favorite game. Something you're watching around the league today. Go ahead, Marcelo.
I like the Falcons and Lions game. Lions also are banged up, and they also play the Packers on Thursday night. So they're going to be out their left tackle. They said Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to play. He's battling a toe. Jamari Gibbs is a full go. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this game. At the beginning, during the offseason, I was slightly
Oh, he cut out.
and I like Arthur's.
You're back.
Oh,
You're back.
there you go. He's back. Nope, he's gone again.
You had cut out for a minute. Go ahead. Keep going.
For some reason, my AirPods are cutting in and out.
There we go, yeah.
Watching the Falcons, I think the Lions are banged up. They have a Thursday game against the Packers after this week. And I think the Falcons and their defensive players are veteran players that they brought in. Arthur Smith cooking with Bijan Robinson. And I really think that Desmond Ridder isn't as bad as everyone says. Because if that offense is flowing, they don't really want to pass the ball first. They'll run the ball, but then they came back down 12 and won that game. So, and that was a lot because of Desmond Ridder was trying to ball out and putting the ball up there with Mac Hollins and feeding Drake London. I mean, I hate to say it because it's the Falcons, but I'm also watching that game because it's a division rival and they're 2-0.
Right.
So that's probably one of my favorite games. And then I kind of like the Commanders-Bills game. I want to know if the Commanders are real or not. And I think they're very live game today.
I've been saying all week, I think the Bills need to be on upset watch today.
I don't even know if they're on upset watch because the Bills just don't look good this year.
I was going to say, it wouldn't surprise me if the game went either way, where the Bills just blow them out or if the Commanders
make sure that they're still the Bills or something, yeah.
Right. But that Commanders defense is for real. And I like what I've seen from Sam Howell so far. I think Sam Howell can play.
No, I agree. He kind of feels like another Brock Purdy story where it's like you just don't expect it and he keeps doing it and it's like maybe there is something here,
The Commanders
are really good at UNC.
Commanders are going to win this football game by sending 4 defensive linemen and dropping back, 6 or 7 in coverage. They're going to get after Josh Allen with sacks, and then Josh Allen's going to turn over the football either by fumbling it or forcing a throw. And then the Commanders are just going to run the football with Brian Robinson.
It's the way the Saints would beat Brady. Send 4 and force them to make turnovers.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm with you. I wouldn't be surprised if the Commanders win the game at all. Go ahead, Ethan.
It's amazing how so many. I mean, even before the Saints and the Brady was on the Bucks, that teams didn't see what the Saints did to Tom Brady year. I mean, the year we went to the Super Bowl, we had Tom Brady picking turf pellets out of his face. Yeah,
but I don't know that it was teams not seeing it. Not everybody has the personnel to do it.
Yeah, this
The
is
Saints
but I
just
mean,
had the
even
Saints just
still,
had the
like
personnel to do it.
we've
You
always
know,
had that his card or whatever you want to call it.
right?
But no, I'm right there with Marcel. I think, and you guys both, the Buffalo Washington game is going to be really really interesting. Just because I don't know if Buffalo is good or not anymore. It feels very weird, like they're missing something. And also, it felt like the Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram picture all over again, seeing Chase Young stand next to the reporter and his quarterback. It was like, is he really that big? Is that a camera
It's a
angle?
big
Like, that
boy.
dude is, he is huge. And then the other game I kind of want to see is obviously the Monday Night Football game, Tampa with Philadelphia. Not only because it's a divisional game, but the Eagles have looked struggled a little bit, and Baker Mayfield, I think, looks like Baker Mayfield. I think I compare him to Geno Smith in the league. He's going to give you some really good games, but he's also going to give you some really questionable games, and guys make a living out of that. And I just want to see if Baker Mayfield's going to stay consistent against Eagles defense.
I've never thought Baker was that bad.
No, not at all.
He had a bad last season in Cleveland, but people forget, like, he was super banged up, right? Like he came back and tried to play for Cleveland and help them win, but like, you're playing with all those with a shoulder. He's playing with a shoulder injury on his throwing arm. Like, yeah,
Right.
he's not gonna be that great, right? So, and then he looked good when he had to step up for LA last year. So I think Baker's better than people think when he gets protection and everything. He's got the weapons around there. We know about that receiving core over there. And we've pointed out the two NFC South teams. So far, NFC South maybe not as bad as everybody thought, right? Well, now we have all, everybody hasn't played super challenging teams, but so far, like, I think we can at least say they're at least average teams between us, the Bucks, and Atlanta.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, I feel like the NFC South always plays itself competitively.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even if the Falcons are like 2-10 and we're facing them in Week 14, they put up a fight, And so it's going to be really interesting to see those divisional matchups throughout the season, because they're going to play itself no matter what. I mean, we saw that in Bryce Young, and there was no quit until he was lining up under the guard. Like there was a whole lot of effort in that game. So, but yeah, Dustin. Yeah,
Dustin thinks Philly's going to stop the Bucks.
Yeah, I hope they do, man.
You know what? It's the same.
We need it.
It's the same thing as the Bills and Commanders, right? Like, Philly's similar to the Bills. They've won, but they haven't looked super convincing yet, right? They haven't looked like last year's Philly team. But if Philly does come out and stomp the Bucks, you're not going to be surprised. You'll be like, okay, the Bucks are what we thought. Philly is what we thought they should be. But if the Bucks keep it close or even win, I'll be like, you know what? It's the defense. It's the same as the Commanders. The Bucks defense is good. If you have a good defense, you can win anything, right? So my game of the day is Broncos Dolphins.
Okay.
That first off, that Dolphins offense is so fun to watch. When I watched that game the other night, dude, the creativity there is just like, players are moving all over the field. They're all the fastest players I've ever seen in my life. And then they just like, Mostert's out there running a 4.3 at like 40 years old and 3 knee injuries. They got A-Chain just like chilling, waiting in the wings, and he runs a 4.4. The two fastest receivers in the league are there. They have like Cedric Wilson, and they signed him. He's also fast, and they never use him. So I don't know what's going on there. But dude, they just have playmakers everywhere. Mike McDaniel is so creative. It's so fun to watch. Their defense played better last week, but week 1, they couldn't stop anything. So you just get an offensive fireworks. And also, I just want to continue to see the downfall of Sean Payton. So just going to keep tuning into that.
Yeah. All right, so we have to bring up this highlight because you mentioned that the Miami team is just very, very fast, and Dustin commented. But yeah, I mean, he saw that cameraman. He sprinted, man. Coach is quick. He's probably my favorite coach in the league. Yeah,
I love Mike McDaniel.
Honestly, but
great coach.
I love Mike. He gets some flack from like real football, like past players for not being like a.
He doesn't take himself too seriously. He's not like coach where this is my show. I'm doing it my way. He's like, yeah, I'm just a coach. Like.
Right. There's not only one way to be a good coach, right? Like, you can be a good coach in different ways. Like, you can be Mike Tomlin and be like the leader of men, stern, and get it done. But you could also be fun and creative. Like if you ask people or players around the league, I guarantee you they equal amounts want to play for both of those coaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's I hate that people don't like Mike McDaniel. Like he can be corny at times, but it's fun.
Sure.
Right.
Like I love a coach with personality. Nobody wants to listen to Bill Belichick talk ever.
Right.
Give me Mike
Bill
McDaniel.
Belichick. This is going to get some heat, but I don't even know if he's that good of a coach anymore. Like maybe it was all Tom Brady. He has struggled. Struggled. Like
maybe it was all Drew Brees. Streets is talking.
Yeah,
right, exactly. Like these head coaches might be getting exposed. Like I think going back to Coach McDaniel, like he's so like just the fact that reporter right before he sprinted off with the camera, she was like, "So what did you do to make a difference in the second quarter?" And he just like looks at her, he's like, "I didn't do anything."
Yeah, right.
And then he didn't say anything else after that. Like that was the end of the question.
And then he just like he believes in his players
right
as much as any coach I've ever seen. Like he gave Tua all the confidence in the world.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the biggest believer in Tua. Like I'll be the first to admit I did, and I'm still iffy on it, but he's proven people wrong. He looks good. He looks better than I thought he was. And I'm pulling for. I like the Dolphins. I've always kind of disliked the Dolphins. So, all right, let's have some.
Out before we move on, we didn't bring up. One of y'all would is the Vikings-Chargers game. Are we expecting a shootout? Loser leaves town. Whoever loses, they're just gonna be. It's gonna be a dumpster fire. What do y'all think?
There ain't a lick of defense being played in that game. I can tell you that right now. Chargers have the worst pass defense in the league. Justin Jefferson is about to go crazy. Fun fact, in case I tweeted this out the other day, in case somebody didn't see it, Justin Jefferson already would be the Bears' all-time leading receiver. So, fun fact. Justin Jefferson's about to go crazy. If you have Vikings, put them in your fantasy lineups. If you have Chargers, put them in your fantasy lineups because they don't play defense either. I'm with how is Brandon Staley still a coach in this league? What does he do well? He's a defensive coach. What are we doing?
I think he's in too deep, and he's trying. And there's a lot of issues going on. You had the Austin Eckler situation go in the off season. He wants to be aggressive, and then he starts not being aggressive. It seems like that Jaguar playoff loss really got to him, and it carried over into the season. And it sounds like I think the organization is going to get some pressure to move on from Staley if he loses this game. And they can't get back on track because the Chargers could, especially with the Chiefs with one loss, they should be at least 1-1, or
there's no excuse for that team to be.
They should be competing for the West, and if you can't help them compete with Herbert, then it's you can't just bow down. If you got to at least keep up and at least take one from them.
Right, and I'll say this, and then we can move on. I said it when we were doing the 32-32. I had the Chargers. For how many years now have we been saying the Chargers have a top 5 talented roster in the league, right? It doesn't make sense how bad that team is consistently. And it's weird because Justin Herbert doesn't get the flack, right? It's always the coaching.
Yeah. It's true.
Justin Herbert is one of my favorite quarterbacks, and he's obviously a top 5 guy in the league. But I don't know, maybe we start giving him some flack too. Other quarterbacks get questioned when they don't win games.
And then him hit him having the ball with a minute left, and he couldn't do anything with it to try to.
Yeah. All right. Let's have some fun. Let's close it out. I want to do this. I want y'all each to give me a couple, 2 or 3 or 4, whatever you want to do, some touchdown scores for the game. And I'm going to throw together some touchdown score parlays, and I'm going to post them on Twitter, and we'll see how they do. Maybe we'll win some money today.
I like the idea.
Marcelo, you're a betting guy.
Or NFL?
Anywhere, everywhere. Okay. Marcelo's a betting guy. Let me get him first.
I am laid out on the hospital bed after a brutal college football yesterday. I am I'm looking at it. I've got a little bit of bankroll, and I'm what do I even do, with these games today? But, I'm predicting touchdown scores. I may be able to figure that out. Right off the bat, I think Calvin really scores. You have against the Texans. Jaguars are at home. Texans are without Stingley. I think Trevor Lawrence, they had a lot of missed opportunities against the Chiefs. It was it was kind of a crazy game, and that should have been a high scoring game, and it was just like slightly like toe was not in or like barely off the hands. I think Calvin really gets back, and he scores a touchdown for the Jaguars.
My fantasy team hopes you're right. I have the Ridley T-Law stack, so I hope you're right.
You want me to keep going, or do you want to go?
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I would do Keenan Allen touchdown. I also like Jordan Addison touchdown, but I would probably just take Keenan Allen for a touchdown. And then I'm trying to look at these other games. Who has the other high total? Man, I think those are the two that I'm good with right now. Oh, let's go with Falcons Detroit. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown scores a touchdown.
Fantasy team also hopes that's right. Sun God in the end zone. Let's make it happen. All right, Ethan, let's go.
I'm looking just through like Action Network here to see what some picks are, and I'm kind of shocked to see that somebody has Justin Jefferson as plus 100. That feels kind of crazy. So I definitely say him. And then I like who else is on here that I like? Tony Pollard feels like he's due as well.
Yeah, I like.
And then I'm just going to go with Alexander Madison comeback game. I think he's going to get in the end zone today.
Ooh.
And then for Saints, I think today's the day we see a tight end touchdown. So I lean towards Jimmy Graham because I think they like him more in the red zone. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was Juwan.
I'd like to see the Michael Thomas touchdown. That feels overdue. Also,
it does.
Y'all went pretty receiver heavy besides Madison. So I'm gonna go. I got Raheem Mostert getting in the end zone against that Broncos defense is an issue right now. They are not good. Shockingly. I'm going Mostert to get in again. I like the Jags game. I'm going ETN. Texans rush defense also not great.
Mm-hmm.
And a Kenneth Walker touchdown. I like that a lot too. And then my receiver I'm going with, this is my little sneaky play, Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flowers has a day today for Baltimore against the Colts. So that's all I got. I'm gonna need y'all to like send those to me though, because
for reasons.
I'm not gonna have time to rewatch this. That's all I got. Y'all got anything else on the day, or we ready to rock and roll?
Who that?
Go watch some football.
Watch some football Sunday. Get the grills ready and hot. Get the beers nice and cold. Enjoy y'all's day. Enjoy some football. It's gonna be a day. Let's go.
Did we decide on it? I don't know if we have it. We're gonna have a post game show also.
Yes. I was gonna bring that up. We're shooting for 3:30 outside. Okay. If we have any overtime, obviously, we're gonna push that back a little bit. I don't foresee overtime, but with you guys, the scores being pretty close, 21-24, 21-20 action, it might be. So, but yeah, we're going to shoot for 3:30. We'll tweet out the link. Join us. We're going to talk post game. We're going to talk our favorite plays, and then just a little more recap of when the Falcons lose. I mean, the Saints win. Yep. Either way, it works for me.
Yep, we'll recap around the league, and we'll see where our parlays stand. I don't know who's gonna be on here for that, but we'll see. It'll be fun either way. Let's go watch some football. We got about 30 minutes or 40 minutes before kickoff. Get your bets in. Check your lineups. Make sure you got your injured players out. Do all that good stuff. Get your bets in. Go get you some food. Get your drinks, and let's have a day.
Absolutely. All right, fellas. Who dat?